Honorable Ambassador, esteemed guests, dear compatriots, ladies and gentlemen. On this day, we've all assembled here to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the saga of valor and sacrifice that our dear Indian soldiers wrote on that snow-clad mountain slopes of Kargil 25 years ago, making in a golden chapter in Indian history. This day comes about on a personal note, it comes as a double whammy for me, as my son Louis was born on this particular day, on the 10th Kargil Vijay Diwas. This being 25th, so happy birthday, Louis. So allow me to share some episodes which are etched in my memory from those Kargil days. While we were into the war, as we were Special Forces teams, we were tasked a typical commando task of cutting down the Adam line, going behind the enemy lines, cutting down the Adam line of their adversaries, mother base, Kultari, to the ridge running Tololing, Tiger Hill, Sando, and Sulu. So we were tasked to assault Sando Top. I was leading a team of commandos, and we were inching up the slope, and we were hit against an ice wall. Now we had to pitch up a rope on the slope, fix up a rope on the slope to negotiate it. And being an established mountaineer, I was fixing up a rope on the slope. I was driving in the pitons, striking with ice axe, gaining height, digging with the crampons, standing on the crampons, passing the rope through the pitons, through the carabiner. I was generally dragging in the air when the Pakis who were entrenched on the top of the mountain spotted us. We were daylighted, they spotted us. So they called in their artillery bombardment to us. Then the mayhem started. We could sense and see lots of adversaries, artillery shells passing us. And one such shell just landed in my vicinity, and it exploded. So the pressure only threw me off the slope. It ripped me from the rope. As I was going down, the shrapnel came following the pressure wave. It went tangentially to my skull, ripping apart my lips and sparing me. It did not come into the skull. It went tangentially to the skull. That was my Trump moment during Kargil War. And then I landed 300 feet, 100 meters down. I was unconscious for half an hour. My buddy, true to his training and the camaraderie and the brotherhood we enjoyed, we developed, he came up, chilled me as per the norms. He came up, chilled me, he shook me up, I regained. After I regained my consciousness, I suffered memory loss for 15 minutes. Then afterwards, while I was on my legs back, we saw that 13 of us died in the same shelling. And then majority of the people were injured. Now we were tucked in the relative cover or the mountainous feature. We had options to contemplate, either to sit there and risk the RT bombardment from the adversary, or go up ahead with our challenge. And when we went up, the decision was unanimous that we are going to go up. And when we went up, we knew precisely that not all of us was going to go up, is not going to come down. So we called in our RT as well. Onto the same feature, we called in Indian artillery. They were bombarding the same height, softening the target of the entrenched enemy. And in the cover of our artillery, we negotiated the ice wall, firmed up FUP, we formed up, and then we assaulted the height and won the height for India that day. So I've often wondered, even after the war, I've wondered, what is that which drives the Indian Army soldiers who forms a ordinary stock of Indians, Indian citizenry, to leave their place of abode, peaceful, and risk marching into the flying bullets, risking death. I've often wondered. And the answer to that, the closest answer to that query I've actually had when I was on a casual call to my buddy Nethrupal and discussing the same subject. He quicked in, he said, "Sir, हम अपने लिए थोड़ी ना जीता है. We don't live for ourselves. As Indian Army soldiers don't live for themselves. They live for a cause which is much greater than themselves. They live for a cause. They live for the cause which is greater than their safety and security of their immediate family members. They live for a cause which is bigger than their religion. They live for a cause which is much greater than the color, creed, class, and culture which they belong to. Indian Army soldiers live for a cause which is the greatest that any person on this world can live for. That they are living for the nation. So, on this day, while we are commemorating Kargil Vijay Diwas, let's take a pledge to live a life, to live a patriotic life, to be worthy of the service that's been extended to us by the Indian Army soldiers. And while we were getting inducted into the war, we were crisscrossing the bylanes of Jammu and Kashmir, and we were on our army convoy. I could see people all thronging the roadsides and generally cheering, ushering us, sloganing, cheering us up, egging us to move forward. I could see children with bewildered eyes, they would check in their dearest things, they would check in their toys, flowers, which would come down as a blessing to us, as kind of their blessing on us. I could see women folks, they would chuck in specially packed food items and chuck into the convoy. I would see people making human chains and making it possible for the convoy to pass through unhindered. They were all partaking in the nation's war effort. I could see that. I could see the nation awakening. And once we reached Pandras, which is the Dras sector, when we reached Pandras, we could see the local populace there, the villagers. They welcomed us with open arms. They shared their accommodation, their everything, their wherewithal, all with us. And in turn, we shared with them all the rations that we had, all the truckfuls of rations that we had, what we collected from Jammu and everybody. We partnered with them and then saw them off to a safe haven much deeper inside the country, away from the border, away from the war zone. They were all sent off. To an untrained eye, these small actions might come up as, like random, haphazard small actions of inconsequential results. But as a person who's been into the war and back, let me attest that these are the small actions which actually broke the backbone of the enemy. It's not only the MiGs and the buffers and the marching columns of commandos that won the war for us. They might have caused a collateral damage. The war was done by an awakened India, a nation which, in its breath and life, wanted to support the national war effort. The war was won by that. We can really contrast, that as we have seen in the video, we can really contrast our position, vis-a-vis the enemy, the adversaries, our friendly neighbors' position. We see from this side, the war was the artifact of one single person. It was fought for one single person. It was not their soldiers' war. It was not their nation's war. But from our side, it was our nation's war. So this is a stark difference which actually won us the real victory at the end. And when the war ended, the friendly neighbors, they threw up their arms, they surrendered, and there were flag meetings, there was ceasefire. We readily agreed. And then they came to us waving white flags and requested us, pleaded with us, a safe passage back to retreat back to their barrack, to their safe havens, which all of us readily agreed. They came on radio sets requesting all of us not to take a pot shot. And nowhere in the entire sector, not in my sector, not anywhere in my command, there was not even one instance when an Indian Army soldier shot on a fleeing enemy back. No, we wouldn't do that. And also, while they were fleeing back, we requested them to take their dead back along with them. And to our utter surprise and horror, they would deny taking their dead back. We kept persisting with them. They are, after all, soldiers who fought for a nation. Soldiers have to be respected, and they have to be given their last rites. They have to be given a farewell which they rightfully should have. But they just left. So, managing within our resources, we pulled in our resources, our own resources, and we ensured that those people, those soldiers gone, are given the befitting last rites on those snow-clad mountains under the circumstances. We gave them that. And this was, if you recall, ladies and gentlemen, we have heard the story of Hanifa, Captain Kalia. Captain Kalia's team and Captain Hanifa's team, they were tortured alive and their body mutilated. I mean, even with such instances which presented the vengeance to build in, even under such trying instances which forced us which could have waived us our uncivilized actions there. Even then, even under those trying circumstances, our Indian Army soldiers and the Indian Army never let down our human values. That is the reason why we say with a thumping this that India is the greatest civilization in the face of the world. Yes. Come what may, this civilization has built into us through the centuries. Come what may, call it eighth wonder, whatever. But such kind of adherence to human values, ethos, and heartfelt earnest for lasting peace is a signature of Indian civilization, and we should be proud of that. We should be propagating that. So on this day, again, let us take a pledge to be the Indian citizens befitting the lessons which are imparted to us by those brave soldiers there back in Kargil, Let's take the cue from them and make a pledge that we would be those Indian citizens who would hold human values even under the trying circumstances. We will stand in for human development, human creativity, and for lasting peace and coexistence of each human beings in the face of the world. And we are a champions for that, and let's not lose that face. And with that, I conclude. Thank you so much for hearing me. With me, Jai Hind!